Hi everyone, this is Jim. Welcome to this Blitz chess postmortem video. This is a postmortem of my Blitz chess game number 99 where I was black. My opponent kicked off with knight f3. I played knight f6, which is kind of a waiting move, and then he plays c4. So now we're into kind of an English opening. So I go with e6, plays knight c3, and I follow up with bishop b4. Now if we back up a little bit, there's just a lot of different moves you can play against the English opening here, and e6 is a popular choice, but also c5, a symmetrical position, g6, a King's Indian type of setup, even b6, the English defense, or c6, which I don't know what that one is. Maybe it's c6, d5, going into a Slav, transposing into a Slav defense. So looks like you have a lot of different choices here. So e6 is what I played, but I always have trouble actually against the English because I don't know exactly what I'm playing all the time. So he played knight c3, d4 I guess is the most popular choice, just transposing back into a queen's pawn type of opening. But with this we stay in the lines of an English opening, as distinct from the queen's pawn openings. And he puts the question to my bishop right away. So I went ahead and took. And then he took back with the b-pawn, which I was wondering about taking with the d-pawn, maybe opening up this file for the queen. Might have some advantages in central control, but the computer doesn't particularly approve of that, and the opening book also says b takes c3 is a normal move there. So I follow up with c5. Looks like b6 or d6 are moves to consider there, or castling. And then when he starts putting his pawn forward to d5, I go ahead and respond with, when he puts his pawn forward to d4, I go ahead and respond with d5 to just stop that pawn from advancing. And if he played e3, it looks like we've gotten back into some kind of normal opening. But after c takes d5 here, which he played, I take back, and then he played bishop g5, and now we're out of the opening book. But it looks like we've got an even game here. Nobody got a real advantage out of the opening, although maybe black was able to equalize. But you'll see white gets some edge back after a few moves. It doesn't, the computer did not like my move bishop f5. So in this situation, the engine is thinking about h6. Yeah, just putting question to the bishop right away, that makes sense. Or knight bd7. Yeah, I wanted to move my bishop before playing knight bd7 because it blocks the bishop. So that was my reasoning. Anyway, he attacked the bishop right away, which is not the best move. And the engine thinks he should follow up with taking on c5 here. I'm not worried about this taking on c5 or bishop d3. It likes that move too. I'm not worried about taking on c5. It gives him these doubled isolated pawns, and they're easy to win back, so it's not like you're losing material there. And looks like, the engine doesn't think that's a serious problem either, based on that score. So that's just something to keep in mind. You don't really have to worry a lot of times about defending your c-pawn, and sometimes it's a waste of a move to do that. But knight h4, bishop e6, just getting away from the knight, not allowing him to trade off the bishop. And after queen c2, he allows me to play this move h6, and now his pieces are in an awkward spot there. I'm threatening the fork g5, although at the moment, if you see I play g5, he can play bishop takes b8 and rook takes b8, and then he has time to escape with the knight, so it doesn't actually win a piece, but it's still pretty good for black. I played knight bd7 first. I actually didn't notice that until this move here in the game. And now I saw the fork, but at this point he saves himself from the fork by playing knight f3. So I follow up with rook c8, and then once again black has some small edge here. And this move castles. After I play knight e4, it's recommending knight d2, just challenging that knight immediately. The problem with castles is it sets up this tactic where now I'm threatening knight to g3, which attacks the rook, defends the bishop, and the bishop attacks the queen. So two pieces are under attack, and that loses material. So the queen has to move out of the way. And now the engine is suggesting I follow up with queen b6. And I really did not think of this during the game, but it's kind of interesting. And the point is not immediately obvious. I could also play queen a5, but I guess queen b6 is more accurate. Also g5 first, followed by queen b6. But say, to show the point, let's say we play queen b6. And he can retreat. If he trades, I can start going after this c-pawn. And actually that's what happens in all these lines. The c-pawn is weak because his bishop, which is the natural defender of that c-pawn being on a dark square, is outside the pawn chain and can't get around in time to defend. So let's see how it might go. Queen c1, queen a5 now, putting pressure on that pawn. Knight to h4, just attacking my bishop. I retreat back to e6 again. Knight back to f3. G5 could be played, but I can just play knight takes c3 here. And there's other lines, but they all end up with me winning that pawn. So in this situation here, queen b6 is a good move, just to get rid of or chase away another defender of that pawn. The problem with the move I played, b6, is that it actually blocks the knight. I mean, one of the ideas in some of those lines is the knight comes to this path, and now that pawn on b6 is in the way of that knight, so that knight's not really going anywhere. And you know, I was planning to bring it to f6, but it's just not as accurate because the weakness is over here on the queen side. Anyway, he goes after my knight. We trade, and we're back in the range of equality after that. And we stay that way for a little bit. He's kicking my pieces around and gaining space on the king side. Maybe this move, bishop d1, is not so accurate. Because after bishop d1, I can play the move g5 and hit his bishop. I think the engine is suggesting he could play, yeah, black, that's me, sorry, white. White could play h4 there. That would slow down my g5 push. Or he could play more actively with queen b5, trying to infiltrate. So this retreat of the bishop, I guess he was worried about this pin and the queen being tied down to defending that bishop. As long as the bishop is here, and there's a potential pin on this pawn here. Okay, so it allows me to move g5, and now I can harass his bishop a bit. And says f4 should be played. He plays that, and now I play f6, trapping the bishop. So there has to be a better move than f4 here. Yeah, after the computer has time to think, it's better just to retreat the bishop here, because the bishop is almost trapped. It turns out there is some really tactical way to save the bishop here. So this is just interesting to look at. It still gives an advantage to black, but I'm not winning a whole piece like I thought I was. I thought there was just no square for the bishop, because if the bishop goes to b4, I imagined I would play the move a5, right? Trapping that bishop. So what happens if you play a5 here? He charges ahead with f5, okay, harassing the rook. And now the best move is rook takes e3, which would, of course, let the bishop back in the game. So what's the problem with rook here? Because you want to keep an eye on this square. You want to keep an eye on the d6 square, so you want to keep this bishop trapped. And now he can play bishop to f3, and he's got a really dangerous threat. Bishop takes his pawn, and that's a check, and it forks the king and that rook. So now white has the advantage after. So we back up in this position, assuming you see the move bishop f3. The best move is rook takes e3. And now this bishop can escape back to d6. And if you come back here to harass it again, it can just go back here anywhere. So, and white is a little bit better. So that's pretty funny, this move that I thought was trapping the bishop. And my opponent did too. He attacks my rook, and now I can just take the bishop and I'm a piece up. So I should just win from this point, but it's a little bit tricky because all my pieces are kind of tangled up here. And I'm slowly unwinding them while keeping my advantage. And I managed to maintain it for a while here. That was, I let an advantage slip away here. It looks like I should go ahead and play DE right away. I play that a little while later. I trade queens and then I take. Okay, and then I get my king out of the way so I can get my bishop in the game. And I'm still maintaining my advantage, but you see I let it slip away at one point, so it's pretty interesting. And this knight a5 move, yeah, I thought, well, this knight is not doing anything here. But I am allowing his rook to penetrate, so it says it's more important to play a move like rook c7, king f8, just stopping his rook from coming in. But I saved my knight, and he gets an active rook, and he wins a pawn too. So I was trying to avoid the loss of a pawn. I end up losing the pawn anyway. A different pawn, but still losing a pawn. And king e8, it says, was a mistake. I should play rook d5 here. And I was trying to get my rook out of this square d5 because once it's on d5, it's kind of trapped there. It can't go to the right or the left. But it is attacking the b pawn, and he can't. Rook d5, bishop a4, knight b3. And then if the bishop takes the knight, rook takes pawn. Okay. So I was just trying to get all my pieces in the game, get my king in the game, get it out of the corner. Oh, sorry, we raced ahead there. And so I do manage to get my king up to a secure square, but he gets his rook over to here. But he played this move bishop e4 first, and now was my chance to really equalize or convert my advantage by playing the move bishop d5 here. That forks his bishop and his rook, and it just forces a trade. And so trades help me in this position. He's not winning anything with the check because the rook can come back and defend. So I should have gone for that. I'm still trying to activate my knight, and now this is a situation where where you see black or white is nearly equalized. He can play this move, not that move. He can play the move bishop to c6, attacking my rook. So I want to defend my knight still, so the rook goes there. And now he can play rook a7. He's got two pieces attacking the rook, and I have trouble defending my knight. In fact, that knight is a goner. So it says I should play king d6, defending my rook at least, so the knight could move, and then he takes. I take, he takes. And yeah, this is an even game. So that was his chance here. After I played the move knight b7, he could have gone bishop c6, followed by rook a7, and equalized. And so after bishop c6, actually, it says I shouldn't even try and save the rook. I should save the knight. Or bishop e8, defend the rook, and just give up the exchange here. So it'd be two pieces against a rook. This would be a hard game to play, but it gives a slight edge for black. Anyway, fortunately for me, he didn't play that. He played rook h8. And so he's picking up another pawn, but I can activate my pieces a bit. And he gets me tangled up in lots once again. So obviously I'm not defending the most accurate way. But I do maintain my material edge here. And I'm slowly making progress. I have to just make sure that I keep one pawn on so I can win the game, because rook and knight against rook is actually a draw. So I have to make sure that at least one pawn survives while I'm busily mopping up all the pieces. And for white's point of view, he really wants to trade off all the pawns and just go into a pure piece endgame and keep his rook. So that would be the way to play it. And he manages to pick up some material here, but I get a pawn back. And I missed a chance to simplify here, but actually he ran out of time the next move and I win. But I just wanted to point this out. The computer didn't think it was a top choice, but to a human player, the simplest way to win this game is to play this move rook to g4 check, rook to b3 check. I'm sorry, I was distracted by something else. Rook b3 check forks his king and his rook, and so he has to take it. And of course you're losing a pawn here, but you don't really need that pawn if you're going to win the game. You go after this pawn immediately, and he can't really hold on to it. If he tries to, you can go after these pawns, and you're just going to be mopping it up. If he tries to distract you with this pawn, you can come after it. and then corral it with the king. And notice you can't push ahead with this one and distract your king because the knight's guarding it, but also you could just play king takes pawn here. If he attacks the knight, you can just retreat the knight, and if he comes here, you can just take. And if he pushes ahead, sorry, instead of bringing his king forward, if he pushes ahead, you can take it, and then again, if he attacks the knight, you can go pretty much anywhere. Oops, I take that back. You cannot go pretty much anywhere. You have to make sure you hold on to this pawn. So the move is here. Sorry about that. So anyway, yeah, did you notice that? It went to a draw with the wrong knight move, for example. This knight move I played. This is a draw all of a sudden because he just goes after the pawn immediately. My king is not near enough to defend that pawn. You have to hold on to your last pawn, of course. So knight f7 is the move. And then, you know, he can try and promote this guy, but he can't ever come forward with his king because now your pawn can just run, and his king is in front, has gotten behind the pawn and can't catch up. So he can never move forward with his king. So if he were to play something like, yeah, it's white's turn to move. Oh, he's in check. He has to move his king. So he has to go, if he could go sideways. And then you start bringing your king up to defend this pawn. And if he pushes this one, you just go all the way to defend it. You're still going to be able to stop this pawn with your knight. If he goes after your knight, you can just take the pawn now because he's losing. Your pawn is going to claim. So an easy win, although you do have to think about every move. Make sure you're holding on to your pawn and not losing it. And that would be the simplest way to wind up that game. But as it turned out, after rook g3, I just took the pawn on g4, and he ran out of time here. But I'm going to be able to mop up pretty easily in this position too. So anyway, interesting game. Hope you guys enjoyed that, and I will leave any comments you have in the section below, and I will see you later. Bye.